What's up, y'all? This is Dre with Build 206, Brothers United in Leadership Development, and we're here with another episode of the Build Black Wealth Podcast. We're in the studio with Miss
Anzhane Slaughter, CEO and founder of Young Black Homeowners.
And we're happy to have you in the studio. We'll just jump on in. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in home ownership and entrepreneurship and real estate. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Love to. Well, born and raised in Seattle, Washington. Okay, South End baby for sure. I stayed local, went to UW. My background is actually in law and policy, government. So I studied law at the University of Washington, then graduated and started working with lawmakers, politicians. I was the legislative task force manager over the social equity and cannabis task force, which was an economic justice issue, working to repair some harms done based on the war on drugs and our representation and participation in the legal cannabis industry. So I've always found myself around, policy that reflected economic justice, right? It's my firm belief that the true route to liberation is through financial freedom. So once all groups have equal access and opportunity to, navigate financial spaces, then we can actually have a true route, or we can see some light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to freedom. So through my, education, I found real estate is actually the number one way to build wealth in this country. 90% of millionaires get their wealth through real estate. Historically in this country, home values have doubled every decade. So it truly is the foundational element to separating, the wealthy versus those that aren't struggling. Now, I don't come from a background of wealth or home ownership. My mom was a single parent, working 3 jobs just to make means for my brother and I. And so I didn't know a lot about real estate or about how to get into home ownership, but I knew all about the policies. I knew about the policies that historically excluded groups from getting into or access to home ownership. So once I got, getting started working in government and working around economic justice issues, government for me was just a little too slow, just a little too politicky, just very transactional. And I'm real, I'm very authentic when it comes to my passion for the betterment of my community, the African-American community. And so I pivoted at that point after already being licensed for about 4 years, teaching first-time homebuyer classes on the weekends and, the 5 to 9, if you will. I pivoted full-time into the role back in 2022. I've been in real estate now going on 8 years, but been full-time entrepreneur, CEO of this company that I'm so proud to represent since 2022. And we've been, we're a real estate education company. So when I'm not helping people get directly into homes, we're either building programs to assistance programs, like down payment assistance programs, debt reduction programs to get people one step closer to their goals. And we're also teaching, we do education, a lot of culturally relevant, trauma-informed real estate education so that people can get the information that they need to make those steps. So that's a little bit about me, where I come from and what I do.
That's what's up, and we were happy to have you as the incubator program participant in 2023. And we talked about this with some of our other guests. It's the learning space. You brought so much to the space, too, for people to learn, and you were able to answer questions, hopefully, network and things like that. So it was real organic for us to create space for folks to have conversations around things that we've been systematically excluded from. Our folks may not know it. The schools aren't teaching it to us. So how do us as community be revolutionary, and how do we, share that information? So it sounds like you always kind of wanted to get into, economic justice around policies and things like that. But did you always see yourself, like, even from when a kid, that you wanted to do that? And then how did it kind of segue? You talked about things like government's kind of slow and real estate, you learned about the policies, but how did it actually, what was the actual process? I guess it's a 2-part question. Like, have you always felt like this as a kid, like you wanted to get into this, like be able to help folks? And then 2, when did you make the segue to the real estate realm?
Yeah, great question. So because we grew up off of government assistance, I didn't know anything about real estate as a kid. So it definitely wasn't my vision to become, a real estate professional and then have this real estate education company. I remember at a very young age, just, saying I wanted to be an attorney so I could be a judge. My mom was always supported that idea because she was like, you ask a lot of questions and you don't stop talking. So you'd probably be great at that. And so that's kind of where the law kind of came from. It was definitely the Trayvon Martin incident back in 2013, 14, that really propelled me into advocacy work for our community. I realized at that point that, that could have been me, that could have been my brother, that could have been my cousins. And no one is going to stand up and represent for us than, members of the community. And so I think, those, like, that was definitely the first, pivotal moment where I knew, okay, this is who I'm just a very passionate person about justice, about, equity, about just fair, practice. And then, it's just kind of layered from there. I was exposed more to real estate in undergrad, which is another reason why I'm so passionate about bringing this education to community, to places, people where I'm from, because I was the first in my family to graduate from college. A lot of people that come from where I come from don't have the opportunity of higher education. And so that means that a lot of this information just goes right over our heads, and we don't learn until later on down the line, perhaps from the wrong person, and so I took agency at that point where, I was like, I need to share what I know, because I know that there's a lot of people that don't know what I know. And I believe that real estate truly is a secret sauce, to, changing your financial fitness, if you will. It kind of just layers. And I think being open to improving and, learning strategies has also helped, kind of discover like who I am, what I'm here for, and now I know that this is my God-given assignment for what I'm here for do.
Yeah, that's what's up. It's so needed too, like you said, that you're being able to share that information. This also has come up too, like we're operating capitalism, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes people get information and they gatekeep it because it's like, if I share this, somehow I'm going to lose. But really, right. No, you're not going to lose. People are going to be grateful. You're going to help other people, and Absolutely. It's going to benefit the community. And Black folks are really tribal, and that's how we should operate. So I appreciate the work that you're doing and the analysis that you have and where it came from to see that you're giving back to community, because it's not really, you help people, it's going to help you at the end of the day. Like a lot of people just, it's unfortunate that some people feel like we got to gatekeep. But I also understand, like, we're dealing in capitalism, so it's like, with capitalism, there's winners and losers, and it doesn't have to really be like that.
Yeah, and a lot of the education that I do, because what you're talking about really hits onto our trauma. The gatekeeping is just, it's a survival mechanism, coping mechanism for the world that we've had to live through and live in. But, in order to break a ceiling and reach the next step of success, you got to think differently. It's a paradigm shift that you have to go through. And I didn't always see the world through the eyes that I see it now, but I firmly believe that when you do the good work, when you're here to help people, your business will always, God is going to provide for you because you're providing for his people, if you will. And so I'm here for, it's always been about the impact. It's nothing more rewarding than, giving hope to someone through a program that I was able to create, and then helping them navigate the process to then giving them their keys. It's life-changing, and those people I can always call on. They're always going to have my back, and they'll always share what awesome work I was able to help them with, because I did some good, something that was really helpful for them. So, I'm a firm believer in abundance mindset, definitely not gatekeeping information over here. And the reality is that you can give people information all day. That doesn't mean that they're going to apply it.
Oh, yeah, true.
Even real estate professionals. I currently serve as the president of the Seattle Young Realtors Division. So this is an affiliate organization of NAREB, which is the premium network of Black real estate professionals across the country. Most historic non-white trade organization in the country, founded in 1947. And as the president of the Young Realtors Division, we're here to support emerging Black real estate professionals. So anyone with less than 5 years in the industry. And a lot of, your first 5 years is about soaking up information and strategy and networking skills, professional development skills. So I share all my goods. Like, I share everything with my members. And it's not, not that I don't want them to apply it. I hope that they all do go out and apply it. But the reason why I'm not threatened with any time I'm sharing information is because there's only one of me, right? There's only one person that's going to deliver the way I will deliver. And that's the same advice that I give all of my mentees, because we're all one of one. We're all custom, with our own lived experience and passions and backgrounds and people skills. And so that's why there's not really, any sort of, there's no threat. There's no scarcity
And like
around
you said, it
here.
doesn't need to be that. It's like you said, there's more than enough resources out here for everybody. So
Yeah.
this is kind of how do I want to ask this? Because everybody defines success, right? It's always like lifelong learning and growth. So, but I guess, describe your journey towards success, and then like what's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned, if you feel like you're successful, like
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah. Well, there's definitely still room for growth, but looking back, I am proud of what I've been able to achieve, being that I'm under 30 and have, a successful for-profit company, and just being the first in my family to really, take strides in the way that I have. I definitely would consider myself somewhat successful, but it's not always linear. My success hasn't always been just upward. Sometimes, you have hardships. I mean, we all faced a tough time during the pandemic when we didn't really know what was coming next or how long this pause to life was going to happen for. And so I also faced hardships during, that time financially, personally. But, my faith has always got me through those tough times, knowing, again, that that as long as you're doing God's work, he's always going to provide. So continuing, to kind of just keep that faith and see positive out of situations and move forward. I also faced hardship last year with the loss of my brother, and so that was really tough for the family. And even though, hardships come, life does not stop for anyone, right? The bills don't stop, the business doesn't stop, the clients or the, people that need you, they don't stop calling. And so, what has helped me through is definitely faith, is definitely balance, always pouring back into myself, spoiling myself a little bit. If not, you're going to drain out, which is not the goal when we're trying to do sustainable work. So, to anyone that, is going through that hardship right now, just know that it's just temporary. Just continue to have that faith, continue to pour into yourself by sharpening up your skill sets, reading, talking, surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs or, business people or whatever industry you're in, people that you can learn from and that can keep you, level-minded, because it's easy for us to just, belittle ourselves or just have negative thoughts, right? So surrounding ourselves with positive energy is definitely helpful for that. But yeah, I mean, success is something that I feel like is always evolving. Our goals are always changing, and there's always going to be a little bit of failure before you get to that success. Some of my most successful mentors, would say that they don't trust someone that hasn't faced any sort of failure. So embrace it, if you will, try to learn from it, and then just keep moving and grinding, waking up every day. That's it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's talked about like the no good without bad, right? Basically, there's got to be some level of balance. Like, nobody wants bad days, but there is going to be bad days, hard times, and that kind of builds the grit and resiliency that you need. And it sounds like you relied a lot on your faith to help you get through those trying times and really understanding on what's what. So, I think being resilient is what I took out of that. It's like, hey, sometimes things ain't going to always go the way you want it to go. And that's why I always kind of frame that question a little different around success, because it's like, well, what is success? And it's like, there's always room to grow. There's always room to be more successful or less successful. And like you said, there's ups and downs. It's not just like, oh, yeah, I just did this thing and this is what it is. And, it's evolving. So I appreciate the way you captured that. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back for this episode of the Build Black Wealth podcast.
Build is back with another year of our Build Labor Standards Initiative. Join us this year as we focus on the Black community members who are in the arts and entertainment category as we dive into the major ordinances within the city of Seattle. Join us at upcoming events and visit our website to learn more. Visit www.build206.com/labor standards to learn more today.
Welcome back. This is Dre with Brothers United Leadership Development, and we're here with another episode of the Build Black Wealth podcast. And we're in the studio with the CEO of Young Black Homeowners. So we're going to jump right back in. So I think I know what you're going to say to this question, but I want to make sure I give you an opportunity to answer it. So what is one resource that you feel is needed for our community to be successful. Specific, let's just make it specifically around starting a business.
Okay, yeah. When it comes to starting a business, I think mentorship and technical assistance are probably going to be the two biggest things. A lot of people will think you need a lot of capital, you need a lot of money to start a business. But I mean, to just get started, things don't have to be perfect. You don't need the brick and mortar. You don't need, the fancy marketing strategy and campaign, right? You just got to get it going. Now with social media, it's pretty cheap to start a business. But that technical assistance piece, making sure you have your back end, your paperwork all in order, you got your EIN through the IRS, so you're aware of the tax pay schedule within your state's Department of Revenue, because we don't just pay federal taxes, we got to pay state taxes on business too. And if you're operating within different counties or municipalities, then you might need business licenses within each of those different municipalities. But this information isn't just readily available, and if it is out there, you're gonna have to really dig deep, and kind of weed out the noise, because not all information is true that's on the internet, right? So that technical assistance piece is key. If I had somebody that, was just there to say, hey, this is how you can, get registered through the Secretary of State. Instead, I paid someone. And that was a privilege that I had, from, working in government, and doing, real estate on the side. I had a little bit of funds to just say, hey, here's $400 to start up, just get my paperwork in order, right? Not everyone has that. So if they just had a mentor or someone that can help them, through the steps. And I would say that there's probably resources. I know that there's resources within the state of Washington around technical assistance for especially people of color that are looking to start businesses. And if there are people out there that are looking for that technical assistance, just look up the Community Reinvestment Plan right now through the Department of Commerce. Yeah, because I know there's a lot of resources that are available now that can help people. But certainly.
Yeah, mentorship has been a reoccurring theme. So I think, like you're talking about, that technical assistance can be coupled with that, sharing that information. And sometimes when you're looking at this information, it's not like exciting things either. Like you're reading this real technical law jargon. These are the taxes that you're going to owe if you make this much money. But you got to know that, because if the audit come or you file your taxes or whatever, you're going to want what's what. So they want to make sure you get your either annually, quarterly, or monthly your reporting on those taxes. And the other piece is, like you said, if you're operating in different cities, they may have tax structure, B&O tax as well, that you need to report on the business that you're doing in that jurisdiction. So it's a lot of information, but the more we know, the more it is. And that's why the mentorship, I think, is critical, to be able to have somebody who's already doing the work or even learning the work, and you guys can learn together through that process.
And just to kind of also add here, the reason why it's so important is that, we want to sustain our businesses and be able to leverage them in the future. Black people, people of color, we've been cooking and doing people's hair, and, whether it's barbering or just hairstylists or doing nails or car detailing, as just side hustles. It's just taking, collecting the cash, which is cool. It's going to help put groceries in your fridge, but it's not going to help you get pre-approved for a mortgage. And so it's so important that we do have that paper trail, and we are incorporated, and so that there's a lot of tax benefits, right? But then to my first point, also to leverage it for loans in the future. There's a lot of business owners that I talk to that are looking to buy homes, but they weren't reporting on their taxes accurately, or they, they have a lot of cash on hand, but they don't have that 2 years to prove
verified
income, and so we have to be incorporated and make ourselves employees of our own corporations, and pay ourselves regularly so that we can show lenders, bankers in the future when it comes to, even building your business, scaling your business out. We're gonna need loans. Loans are not bad. It's good debt as long as it's for your business and you're gonna make money off of it. Right. So we want to be able to leverage our businesses and our income, which is why we have to be, we got to have that back end in order.
So you talked about a lot of things, but what's one tip or trick as an entrepreneur that you learned that kind of helped you succeed?
Yes. Okay, and this is really close to my heart right now, because I am in a huge scale and growth moment right now within the company. I've always been a decent delegator, you know. I've always kind of held these leadership roles, management roles. I was just always that person that kind of stepped up, you know, when no one else would, right? But now in my business, especially, you know, as the face of the company, as the mouthpiece of the company, I need to be public facing. I need to be out here doing podcasts, which means that I don't have time to, you know, be doing all of the social media marketing. I don't have time, but it took, I mean, when you're starting a business, you are doing everything yourself, you know, until you get to a position where you can scale out. But a huge thing that, you know, a skill that I'm really going back to is that delegation piece, outsourcing. People that have their strengths are in marketing and advertisement. Their strengths are in media, photography, you know. One, it's going to free up more of my time to do what I need to do, what people can't, where I can't really have someone sub in. Like if I'm going to go teach, you know, to some bankers, I can't necessarily outsource that right now. But for those other tasks, you know, finding the people where that's their strength and putting them in place to help your company. It frees up my time and it actually produces a better product, so that when I'm out here talking about the brand and meeting with, you know, other investors and corporations that want to partner, I can come to them on the same level with the same level of professionalism, and package it in a very neat way, because I'm not over here trying to do everything. So that is huge. You know, in order to scale, in order to free up your time, you gotta have a team, and so I'm really big about that.
Delegation. Mm-hmm. What's the best advice you would give somebody who's just trying to get started, like with a business, like just to kind of get over the hump of, you know, sometimes, you know, you got this ideal, but it's like, how do I actually jump off the porch and make this happen?
Yeah. And this kind of goes back to our earlier question about mentorship. I think the first thing is really just finding someone that's in a position that you want to be in. You know, that would be a mentor person for you. But seriously, because that way you can get a little bit more insight on what it looks like on the day-to-day. You can ask some questions. You know, how do you get in? What did you do when you first got started? And what are some challenges that you faced? Because you're gonna know after that conversation, right? If you're still passionate about it. After someone tells you all of the negative things that there are to do with it, and you still want to move forward, then do it, you know. So for sure, finding someone that, you know, is in a position that you want to be in, trying to soak up as much game that they have to share with you, because that's worth more than gold, in my opinion. And then also seeing how you can offer help for them in their business so that you can get a deep, you know, even more in-depth picture of what that operation looks like. But you know, once you've done all your research and you're still confident that you want to move forward, it's just a matter of getting started. You know, we are going to be our biggest critics always, you know, and there's always going to be an excuse not to do something. But at the end of the day, as we mentioned, I'm spiritual, I'm a faithful person. And so I believe that when you have a gift, or you have, you know, whatever comes naturally to you, it's likely your gift and your purpose here. And, you know, you got to share that. You got to share that with others. You never know how it's going to help someone else. I think that we're all here to serve in our own ways. So whatever we're good at, whatever we like to do or that we're passionate about, we should be doing that. And then, you know, hopefully one at a time, we're making impact on this world that we live in.
So how do folks get in contact with you and your organization?
So through our website, it's going to be the best way to stay updated on everything that we're doing. You can find us at www.youngblackhomeowners.net. If you just scroll down to the bottom of actually every page, there is a subscribe, stay in the loop. You just give us your email. That way you automatically get updates on events, you know, workshops that we're doing, giveaways, new programs that come out. So that's going to be the best way to stay updated. Behind that is our social media pages. So we're on Instagram and TikTok. You can find us at youngblackhomeowners or ybh.life. I'm also on Instagram if you want to just follow my personal side at Sold by Anzhane. And yeah, Facebook as well. I'm on Facebook, just first and last name. So we're out there, we're online, and we're doing a lot of really exciting things right now in the community. We have our ongoing $100,000 down payment assistance program. We also partnered with the city of Tacoma. They have a $60,000 down payment assistance program. So if you just attend four of the events out of this 7-long event series, then you'll be eligible up to $60,000 as long as you meet within the income eligibility requirements. Yeah, to help purchase a house. And in today's market, that's really what it takes, because especially if we're talking about King and Pierce County, when it comes to just the cost of these homes, the average home prices and the cost of money, if you don't have a sizable down payment, you're really looking at a very high monthly payment. So it's good to see that there are 20% down payment assistance programs out there, which did not exist just 3 years ago, and we don't know how long these dollars will be around. So we really got to seize the moment and take advantage of the opportunity. Stay involved, reach out right now so that you can hopefully get some of those resources.
So you guys make sure you guys tap in on their website, get on their email list, sir, so you guys can tap in. It's been amazing to watch the growth, how quick you've grown and the work that you're doing in community. So just hats off to you and your team for making those things happen. And thank you for coming and sharing some information about your business and your process and how you got to where you're at. So we appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to be around the Build family. And I can't wait to see the new incubator group and all of the amazing things that are going to come out of those businesses.
Thank you. So once again, this is Dre with Build 206, Brothers Uniting Leadership Development. This has been another episode of the Build Black Wealth Podcast. Until next time, peace.